Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Brain Dead Breakdown. It is time again for the final countdown. Yes, it's that time. It's the time. Today I'm taking a look at a Steven Wilson one. Now, if you have watched my Steven Wilson journey on the YouTube, on the Patreon, you will see that I have just discovered one of my favorite artists. I say I didn't discover him, you guys recommended him to me. And throughout the journey, I have it's been a bit of a musical awakening, I've always adored composition, but I'd never realized to what extent until I started listening to people like Steven Wilson, who just don't really tie themselves down to a specific genre. They just make music. And yes, some albums have some themes and all this, but they make amazing music. Now, Hand Cannot Erase it contains the song that first sparked the major interest, I guess would be the best way to put it. And that's, I looked at a couple, but it was Home Invasion Regret Number 9. It was Home Invasion Regret Number 9, because the solo I'd heard before, Guthrie. I'm sure I will talk about it more later, so I'm not going to talk about it too much now. But it was that sparked the intrigue. And now I've done a lot of videos on Steven Wilson, and it only feels fitting that I do Hand Cannot Erase on the vinyl countdown. So today, that's what we're going to do, guys. I am going to sit here. I am going to listen to the album in its entirety. If you're watching the Patreon version, which will be free and available to everyone. So if you're not already following the Patreon, please head over there and drop it a follow. But there will be the YouTube version, which doesn't include the listen through, the Patreon version that does. And then once I've listened to it, I'm going to give my thoughts. You could call it a review. It's going to be a basic review, but I will certainly be giving my thoughts. So come along for the ride. I'm going to go and grab my vinyl, put it in the player, take a seat over on the couch, and listen to Hand Cannot Erase. Please head over to the Patreon and come along with me. If you haven't got time for that, stick around for the review section. Let's go. That album is a spiritual experience. Such a good album. I need some moments that I need to collect my thoughts. This thing right here, this is amazing. If you don't already have it, get it. If you haven't put it in a playlist on Spotify, if you're not a physical music kind of person and you have not yet put this in a playlist, listen to it, put it in a playlist, pick songs, put them in it, just do something with this album. Okay? One of my favorite albums of all time. I've listened to it a few times now, and it is, with every listen, it further cements the status. It further, just as a whole, one of those albums to listen to. And I made the comparison in the video itself. I drew the comparison between this and some of the kind of more longer movies. So I used Terminator 2 as an example, but I think I should use something like Inception, maybe. There's so many layers to that movie that I can't just sit there and watch it at any time. Sometimes I just want to put on Crank, 83 minutes of just adrenaline and easy to watch, But sometimes I want to sit there for 3 hours and watch a movie that makes me think, and like I want, like, oh, look at that little bit, how did this play into this, and all of that. And I see this as one of those albums. Now that I've done this, like, I'm definitely going to be digitizing this album. So I'm going to have the tracks on my computer, and I'm probably going to be listening to them individually a little more, because at the moment it is definitely an album that is a complete work to me, you know, like, because that's how I've consumed it. But just looking at these, like, Perfect Life is one that I like, stands out to me as very different compared to the rest, because I think I even said in when talking that, like, that sounds like it could be a Robbie Williams song or something, you know, just like, or a song played on pop stations and everything, but it's still very deep, very, you know, the lyrical content is there, and as it's a fourth track out of 11, it's like, it's a palate cleanser, you know, because before that you have like 3 Years Older, for example. That's a 10-minute song, you know, like, that's 10 minutes right there. Then Hand Cannot Erase, which is only 4, but like together those two, you know, First Regret's a bit of an intro, you know, it's only a couple of minutes, so I'm not going to count that, but having 3 Years Older and Hand Cannot Erase, that's like 15-minute journey and both of those are quite musically complex and like very kind of, well, musically complex songs. So to follow that up with Perfect Life, I think, is a really good shout. But then after Perfect Life, go on to Routine, which I remember reacting to Routine. And like, I think the video got me more with Routine. The song helped, but the video going alongside it definitely affected me more, because this one, little bit of a tear to the eye. It started off, but when you're not listening to the vinyl, I suppose, and when you're listening to just the album, Routine just starts off the emotional destruction. Like, Routine to Transients, you know, are just like as I said in the video, side 3 on this album, like, or LP2 side 1, depending on how you want to look at it, side C, side 3, whatever you say. That's the one. That's the emotional battlefield, you know? Like, it is, like, that is an absolute emotional battlefield, that one. It's just, honestly, doing this after listening to side 3, side 4 is a bit of a blur from today. So you may have seen it yourselves in the video, you know, how you may have seen how side 3 just done me. And once I got to side 4, of course I was still listening, like, you know, I was just, but it was very much like the analytical part of the brain had it, like, here you go, this is how I put it. Once I start, like, emotion, I'm a very logical person. Logic is up here. But when the emotion starts to creep in, the logic starts to creep out. You know, and I was just an emotional wreck by that point listening to this. And the analytical side of me was gone with the logical side, you know, and it was just, I was just listening. But that's what you should do. Like, I'm not breaking this down song by song, and I do apologize, because that's maybe what some of you may have expected, but Hand Cannot Erase is, on your first listen, you should listen to the whole thing. You know, it's like, I don't like, even though you guys that have watched me for a while probably know exactly what songs I want to recommend, but I'm having a tough time right now just not recommending the album as a whole. Just listen to the whole thing, you know, and just go on the ride, enjoy the journey. Trust me, there's so much here musically that you will find something that you enjoy. You will. Like, I have no doubt. And you will find songs that you can then put in a playlist and listen to on their own and consume as standalones. For me, for example, Routine, Home Invasion, Regret Number 9, although I am going to be doing Home Invasion and Regret Number 9 as one track. I'm literally going to check it in Music B to be like, play these together, even in shuffle. It's just like, no, it has to be together. But, man, seriously. Spotify, if you're a physical media person, absolutely worth having in your collection. If you're not and you're a Spotify person and all of that stuff, check out Steven Wilson, because oh my god, one of my favorite albums. Like I say, this is definitely one of the more not going to listen to as a whole often albums. I have to be in the mood. It's not as easy listening. I will say that. I don't think this is easy listening. Like, you have to be ready to kind of take it in. You know, it's not like Bill Murray. You know, like, I love Bill Murray. And like I said in the listening section, you know, like, on one end of the scale, you've got this, which is not easy listening, but is one of my favourite albums because of its complexity. But then on the other end of the scale, you've got American Motorsport's 420cc edition by Bill Murray, which I think the longest song's about 4 minutes long, and it is the epitome of easy feel-good listening. And that is also one of my favourite albums. You know, it's just like at the two ends of the spectrum for me. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Patrons, YouTube, wherever you may have watched it. If you're on the YouTube, I highly recommend going to check out the Patreon version of this, because normally Vinyl Countdown is available to the $5 tier subs, but as I was making this video, I decided to make this particular one available to everybody. So you check out the Patreon, Vinyl Countdown Episode 3, Steven Wilson, and Cannot Erase. The full thing will be available, including listen through. So whether you watched it on the YouTube because you didn't have time for the length or whatever it may be, I appreciate your viewage. Like the video if you liked it. Comment down below to let me know what you thought. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Brain Dead, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one. Peace!